Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Monday, it's January 28th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And we had a nice, strong downtrend. There weren't a lot of entries on it before we finally went sideways. We actually had a break here, and you can see two legs down to a new low, and then we reversed. So that's pretty much perfect price action. There's a little bit of a slanted channel right here. It really didn't. This channel was still the dominant pattern. It looks like. We'll talk about that when we go over the trades here. There weren't a lot of trades. It's mostly sideways today. You can see we're below, above, below, above, below, above, below, above. Even on this uptrend, we're above and below the EMA. So it's more of a sideways type action today. Not a whole lot of trades. Won't take long to do the chart lesson today. Um, not all, just it just was not. And the real thing is that even though this is more of a range day, there's not the consistent bounce off the lows or the consistent bounce off the highs across here. So you really had to play these little short-term trends in and out, up and down here. That was really the only way to play it. And you can see in the big picture, though, again, you got the channel coming down, you get the break, you get two legs down to a new low, and then we reversed. You're working up. You get a break here, it looks like, and then there's a couple of legs up. We corrected, and we still worked up a little more after that. So, um, yeah, not a lot of trades today, so it won't take long to go through the chart lesson. I'm gonna back out a little bit here, and you had to be patient early on. You had to sit here. There just weren't any. There really wasn't a good trade until 10 minutes after the regular open here. If you notice the dark blue and the white, this is the overnight session in the blue, and this is the open right here where it turns white, and it doesn't turn blue again until 2 o'clock, which is pretty much my cutoff time. So this is 2 to 3:15, and then of course over here where this line is, that's the break, and that's the start of the overnight session again. So just for anybody that's new, that's not real familiar with that chart, but how I do that. Let me back out where you can see this. But anyway, there's a trade right here, right around 8 o'clock or so. Notice that you got a new high here, and you pull back, you get a first entry, you make your second leg down, you get that second entry long. It fails really quickly and gives you a bearish bar. It's a breakout pullback short. It's a failed second entry long. It's in a downtrend, still inside the channel. The only problem is we weren't quite back to the EMA, and you're going short right into the low of the day. So it's a little bit suspect when you do that. So I marked it green. Turns out to be a great trade. Sometimes your better trades are going to be a little bit more aggressive like that. That's just the way the market is. But in most cases, you'd probably be better off, if it's marked green, you'd probably be better off to skip it. So, but anyway, you work down and you get a break of this shorter term trend here, and you're just kind of running down here. There is another, notice we do make a little swing higher than that. So there is a failed second entry long right here, but I wouldn't take that trade. It's right in, we're just coming off those lows, and you bounced off of it a couple of times. And even though you could have taken this trade, the rules say just wait and see if you don't get a second entry pretty quickly, and then notice what happens. You bounce, you get a first entry, and then you basically make a double top, and you get that little failed break higher, and you get a second entry short right there, and that's right off the midline and right off the EMA, and that's a perfect spot. Big bearish bar, second entry short. That's the place to enter. You get a nice quick move down, and this looks, I mean, this looks almost like a repeat pattern of this. Notice you got the little short-term trend of break, you move up, and notice this one would have failed, but there's a couple of things here, because I know somebody's going to ask me this. And notice this looks like a little double top with a failed break higher, so it looks a lot like a repeat pattern. But notice what happens on this side. You're below the EMA, the midline is holding. Here you get through the midline, and you even push through. Actually, you don't right there where it triggers, but it continues to push on through the EMA, and you're not getting back. So you're looking for prices should be headed back to this trend line. And if they don't, you want to at least wait on a lower high, which doesn't come to here. So that's why I didn't mark these. If you did take this one, which, like I said, it looks very much like a repeat pattern. I could see where this could trip you up, but that's the only real difference is that notice the EMA is holding here, and the biggest thing is that you're still below the midline, so it's a second entry off that midline. Well, here you've pushed through that midline, so there's a good chance you could get a failed second entry short and move on up to the trend line. We don't end up getting there, and notice I drew that trend line off those two swings, and so this kind of confirmed that as well on that lower high, because even that lower high is still a little suspect. But notice how now we're back below the EMA, it's closing below it, we push up, you get that trap and it turns and goes out the other side. You could have gone short one tick below that one, or just waited on that one to close. If you waited on that one to close and then it creates this little inside bar with a matching low, I don't know if I'd have taken that then. But if you took it when it broke higher and turned and went out the other side, I would hang on, and it does end up dropping on down. And then you just get a first entry there. You're not back to the trend line. Comes back, and technically this is 2 legs back, even though you made a little lower high here, but that signal bar is not very good where it breaks lower. But again, you wait on that lower high, and so now you got a second entry short there on a lower high. And I marked that one green as well, just simply because the lows are so close here. Notice you don't have much room before that low, and you don't even have much before that. There's probably just enough to get out before the lows, counting the stem here. So I marked that one green too. Plus it's a 2-bar matching low there. This is kind of an inside bar, but that's a really bearish bar. So you may want to take that one. That's the first break, so we're probably going to get a new low. And notice we get 2 legs down to a new low right there. But that's not much of a move. So then we start correcting. And you don't know if this is a reversal yet or if this is just a correction. You got to be really careful. So make sure this plays out before you try to get short. And I really didn't see a good short until it was way over here. But there is a second entry long right here that you might have considered. There's actually a second entry short here, but notice that low, first entry, second entry, and the market's still, the bias is still down at this point, so I like going short right there. When it bounced, you may take that second entry long though, because we have had a close outside and 2 legs down. So this was one I went back and forth about, and you could even argue for it to almost be blue. I'm gonna at least make it green because it is a second entry long, but the bias is still kind of down here. You don't really have enough evidence to say, hey, something's changed. But finally you get a bounce off this trend line right here and another bullish bar, and it actually went lower and turned and went out the other side. I don't have a problem going long right there, and I really was hoping it'd take off there. It didn't. It's still good for a nice scalp. Then we get a break. We get 2 legs down. I don't see a good setup here to get short really, and then it bounces, and there's actually a failed second entry short right there. So you might consider that, and it does work out, but it's so close to those highs. That's another one that, you may take it, but I'd probably sit because there's just a lot of congestion across there, like 2 or 3 bars, 4 bars stacked up there. So you may take that one. When it comes up and breaks higher and fails and gives you that little double test rule and a failed second entry long, and that's a relatively bearish bar, I like going short there. There's actually another lower high here, but by that time you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacked up. That's like a tick or so off being a doji. There's stems on both sides. Everything's still closing above the EMA. Even though that turns out to be a nice entry, I'd just skip it. There's a failed second entry long here if you count this as the new high. You're right into the lows. I don't like it. Not a very good signal bar. But then you can count this because you can count that as a new high and then first entry, second entry. So there's your failed second entry long and a nice bearish bar off this trend working down. So I like that one better. And of course we bounce. Now you've had your close, your break of this 2-tiered channel, a little correction, and then you've had 2 big legs down, enough to really say, hey, I've got 2 legs down. And there's a little more than a measured leg if you measure this. That would be leg 1, then leg 2, and you can see that we went a little further than that. Notice how we made the little double bottom, and a lot of times you get that one last push, it'll trap everybody, and then it reverses. You do have a closeout and 2 legs down. That's a one that you might consider trying to catch an important low. Generally, you're better off to wait on the lower high, and you get it, but it's right into that EMA, and I don't like that one. But you could argue for that one maybe to be the green just because it's so far away, and now you've had a couple of legs down, that measured legs, plus one more little push down. There's a failed second entry short right here, but you're way away from the EMA. You're just better off to wait. It comes back here, and you can kind of set a trend line, and then notice it moves up. There's a higher low here, but you got to go long right into the highs of the day. It actually broke lower and went out the other side. With that being a double top, I'd probably skip that and see if you get a failed second entry short, which you do there, and that's the first break of that trend line. You could argue for this one to be green just simply because you just came off the high side again, but it's the first break of this one, so there's a good chance you're going to push up at least once more, and it ends up pushing up a couple of times and getting an overshoot actually, which guess what that usually leads to? An overshoot on the other side or a reversal. Notice you're working down. Try to go short once, but you don't have a new low in, so I marked that one green. That's a nice setup right there. But generally, it may try to come back again. You want to see 2 failures sometimes when it's unclear, and it's kind of unclear there. So when you get that failed second entry short and another bullish bar, now that's the time to go long. And you can see that now everybody says, hey, we've had those 2 attempts to go lower, and look how it rockets off. That's that. Smart traders are all come in now. They weren't so sure about here. It's a little more aggressive, but right here, boom, off it goes. And that got you in the 2 o'clock hour. So there just weren't a lot of trades today, and it just wasn't a very good trading day. There's not a lot of price action. There were a lot of sideways action. And again, it's not one of those clear range days where you test the same lows over and over and it bounces every time, or you turn down off the same resistance level and it turns down multiple times all day long. We didn't get that today. This is a lot of sideways action with some trends in it, but there's no clear areas where it's reversing. So you just have to kind of play. You got to play it smart, and you got to wait on the reversal patterns a little more, and you want to see the break and probably 2 legs down and stuff like that. So, or break and 2 legs up. You want to follow the rules a little more strict when you don't have that clear support and resistance of the range where it's bouncing every time. So hope that makes sense. But anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for today. There's just nothing spectacular happened today. Just remember, whenever you see prices, this is a clear downtrend. Notice how prices are consistently below the EMA all the way down, and then you finally start to get through it a couple of times before it bounces above it. That's a clear downtrend. But when it's constantly above and below it, see how we're above, below, above, below, above, below. That's a sure sign of a range. So that's one way we use the EMA that helps us determine if it's a range type day. And even on this trend up, it's not a real strong trend, because notice how we keep pushing below the EMA all the way up. That just means your trend's not super strong. Like this one is super strong coming down here. That is a nice strong trend. So anyway, hopefully that just keep that in mind on trying to determine what the trend, whether it's a trend or a range, or how strong the trend is, or how obvious it is this ranging and so forth. You can use that EMA as a tool for that. So that's one of the ways we use it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. Hope you had a good trading day. Again, it just wasn't a super trading day. Still enough trades here to find you 2 or 3 trades and make some money. You just had to be patient, and this is the kind of day where you don't want to be chasing trades or being too aggressive, so because you can get yourself in trouble. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.